now. Welcome everybody to the second series in this series of webinars covering the cybersecurity and data protection for SMEs in the transport logistics sectors. In the first session, we invited esteemed guests from MPA, the Maritime Port Authority of Singapore, CAG, Changi Airport Group, as well as my good friend who was the Singapore Power Group CIO, as well as a CISO veteran. And we covered areas about cybersecurity measures, protection, and the threats that in the aviation and the maritime world we deal with. So today's discussion, we have two more esteemed speakers. All right, Mr. Ma Leju, Senior Business Director from DD Global, as well as Scott Lee, Head Cybersecurity Hong Leong Finance. He was also ex-CISO from SATS. So both are veterans in this space, and I'll be delighted to hear their point of view on cybersecurity trends, threats, as well as how to protect them and also give themselves uh, relate their experiences in these particular areas. Okay, so I myself is from Singapore Cruise Center. That's my full-time job, right? I'm actually the CIO CTO and playing a bit of the head of cyber as I've not filled up my cybersecurity head position as yet. But cybersecurity is actually very key in all companies, organizations, especially with the increasingly complex cyber landscape today, and worsened, by the presence of new technology like AI, quantum computing, and so on and so forth. Okay. Feel free to list down your questions in the chat group. We will have a session later on, to chat with the panelist members. We'll be asking some questions for them to reply based on their point of view as well as on their experience. Okay, to start off with, let me run through the cybersecurity data protection framework. What are cyber trends and what are the potential impact to organizations? And also to summarize, the takeaways from the first series. What were the key points raised by the three panelists of the first series? And then we will move into the presentation itself by Mr. Ma first, followed by Scott, and then if given enough time, we'll do a Q&A session with the panelist members. Right, so feel free to shout out your questions in the chat group, and then we'll try our best to answer them. Okay. First of all, what is cybersecurity data protection all about? Cybersecurity is about what is the definition of cyber, when and where it will happen. Actually, most of us is already, cyber is at your doorstep. Is actually when they attack us. All right. How? Right. How to defend. So we have basically the five basics: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. An important thing is basically to detect, to be proactive, and once attacked, how do we respond and recover quickly so that is to minimize impact to the organization and business. And what do we do, right? So the role each of us play, and importantly, as shared in the last series, was that we need to work together as one in the community, right? So we need to collectively protect, defend ourselves, and be ready to share information, right? Readily across all parties, because intel shared by one party will benefit the rest of us in the community itself, right? And learn from others, right? It's all about learning based on experience and expertise. And it's very important to learn from others so that we do not repeat the same mistake, or we can basically apply the best practices in our own organization. Now, data protection is also very key because a lot of us hold personal data, confidential data that we need to protect. And we need to be mindful of the policies of the acts that apply on personal data protection. Again, it's basically what are personal data? How do we collect them? How do we protect them? And of course, when not needed, how to discard them. So these are basically some of the questions we ask about cybersecurity and data protection. And these questions have been around, be it whether it is in the past or now or in the future, where AI will become more important and more prominent in this cyberspace. Okay. Now, let me quickly run through the seriousness of cyber attacks and data leakage. A lot of people will know CrowdStrike, right? Even though it's not a cyber attack, but imagine a cyber attack at that scale will create a lot of disruption to a lot of companies, right? Embracing that kind of a solution, right? For example, airports, right? Massive disruption to airport operation from an outage, and especially bags, right? The bags will need days or even months to clear the bags. Right, so that could be one a serious outcome from a potential cyber attack. Others could be worse off, right? It could lead to massive disruption to a company, operation and supply chain, and the worst case is that you go out of business, right? There are some examples in the industry that basically relate to one company going out of business because of a cyber attack, because of the use of of an ID with a password that did not expire. Okay. Now, AI, the good and the bad. All of us today talking about how AI can help us in the business and operation, but AI can also be on the negative side, right? So what we mean is that cyber defenders are now urged to use AI to counter AI threats, right? The key points to ponder, right? So increase in AI tools can accelerate the exploitation of system flaws, and such tools can actually reduce the time and resources needed to conduct cyber attacks. That means once there's a hole, the high chance that the attack will come sooner or later, right? And then so basically what we need to do is that we need to now start exploring the use of AI to detect proactively and if an encounter respond proactively against a future AI-enabled cyber attacks. Right, so you can read about tools like Litmus that the government is pushing out to see how we can protect against cyber attacks on the open AI. Now, from the last session, we have sharing by, as I said, CISO from MPA, from CAG, as well as the Singapore Power Group, right? So from the CISO point, MPA point of view, port cybersecurity, well, today with Singapore's megaport, there's a lot of investment in IT as well as OT technology. So cyber protection no longer just apply to ICT, but also to OT, right? Okay. Next, cyber risk is treated as part of the enterprise risk and port resilience. So, cyber risk can never be treated alone. It has to be part of the enterprise risk management framework and involves, all the executives in the enterprise itself and not just the CISO or the CIO. Right. And then the focus on the cybersecurity protection is on safety, business continuity, and trade disruption prevention. Right. You try your best to protect against cyber, but if cyber were to attack your systems, then very important is to have a business continuity plan to ensure that your business operation continue, right? Even on a downgraded scale. And journey and the future outlook. So basically, what the NPA is talking about is evolve from a compliance-based security to ecosystem-wide cyber resilience. And what the MPA have done is that they are the sectoral lead for the maritime space, and they set up a MPA SOC and also established a community of partners. For example, PSA Jurong Port, Singapore Cruise Centre, NBCCS, and so on, right, to participate in this ecosystem-wide cyber resilience framework. And we do exchange intel on potential cyber attacks so that each of us can proactively blacklist IPs or to prevent the potential attacks by focusing a bit on the what the cyber intelligence tell us. All right. So MPA has also opened up, as I say, MCA OC, which is the Maritime based cyber security ops center. They have also signed international MOUs. So last week at the SMW, we also jointly participated in a MPA initiated maritime cybersecurity tabletop exercises involving international players, for example, the US Coast Guard and so on and so forth, right? Yeah, so it's the cybersecurity boundaries is not only restricted within Singapore, but the boundary is also extended overseas. And as much as we can collaborate with many more partners, then the extent of intel exchange to prevent potential cyber attacks will greatly benefit us a lot. Now, shared by CAG, CISO, the same thing, the same message, right? So they have an ecosystem approach for collective defense. So everywhere we are talking about forming ecosystem partnership, sharing intel, and working closely with one another to prevent potential cyber attacks. And for my friend Steve, they mentioned about you need to defend the chain, a systematic approach to resilience. Today, we rely on a lot of third parties, and we do have information flowing from one party to the next. So we should be defending the whole chain and not, the individual parts of the chain, because the weaker sort of part of the chain, once it's subject to cyber attack, would disrupt the whole effectiveness of the supply chain. Okay. And some of the questions raised, so one of the questions that we pick up is, what are the most common cyber threats currently targeting aviation and transport sector? What are the biggest cyber threats for transport industry in 2026? And what are the key risks facing logistic transport companies today? So these are some common questions raised by audience for the first series. And we say that, aviation and transport and maritime are very similar in nature, right? So some of the common threats are phishing, credential thefts, data breaches or leakages, ransomware, DDoS attacks, supply chain attacks, OT threats are coming up, and of course GPS communication jamming and spoofing, right? So these are basically the common threats that will affect all the industry and not just the transport industry, right? And we could even see more AI-enabled cyber attacks with hackers using AI to create more sophisticated phishing scams, as well as the deep fix to impersonate senior staff, right, to get information from you about the company, right? So that sums up basically a quick introduction to cybersecurity and what was shared at the last session. So now over to Mr. Ma for his point of view on cybersecurity. So over to you, Ma.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. Sharing. Okay, so everybody sees my screen. How do I move this away? Okay, that's good. So, morning, afternoon, evenings, in case we have people based in different places. Really, thank you for having me here. I know I'm very new to CILT Singapore. The new kids in town, in the neighborhood, I need to pay my dues. But I'm already so excited to be here, to meet people, to share my SaaS experiences. In the past 10 years, I was in the ride-hailing business in different parts of the world. And data security, cybersecurity is definitely one of the most discussed topics in my line of work. But before everything, I would like to set the context, set the scene. That is, what is the mobility platform and why we talk about it when we talk about data and cybersecurity. I think mobility platform, they have very interesting, unique identity. It has a dual identity of transport logistics sector and tech companies. So on the one hand, they have a physical attributes of transport and logistics. They have the regulatory licensing, they have road safety concerns, they have driver work welfare, they have vehicle compliances, and their product lives on the road, I would say, in vehicle warehouses, traffic. And the data is grounded in the physical world in ways that make it more sensitive and far more consequential when mishandled. And on the other hand, they have the features of a typical tech company. So like they use the computers, laptops, three screens in my Singapore office, or say on each work desk. So they have the fancy terms like the machine learning, data-driven decision making. They have a heavy investment in infrastructure. So interesting data is at Uber, Grab, and Didi. So the engineers and technical staff, they represent roughly 30 to 45% of the total employment. In case of Didi, we have roughly 45% of our employees in the research development product roles. And R&D expenditures, we do the P&L, it's relatively from 5 to 15% of the revenue. That's something significant. Even the pharmaceutical companies and software companies, their R&D expenditures is around 20, 30, 35, something like that. So, so this dual identity make it very interesting to talk about cybersecurity and data governance from mobility platforms perspective. And let's talk about data. So when we think about data, we think about hard drive. We think about a locked closet, a locked cabinet. But actually, data in our sector, I think, is not sitting quietly on any hard drives. It's actually very alive. So it flows constantly in real time and embedded itself in every layers of our business. You see the flow here on the slides. This is a typical journey or let's say a delivery trip. So a customer's name and contact, GPS positioning trace at every turn, and generally we will in ride hailing we will put a timestamp on it, and there will be followed by payment transactions, driver performance record, and a number of things. So those are set of data. It's not just a where we're recording what happened, but it generates a value for business operation. I say it's an asset for us to run the business. There's users value, there's organizational value, and there's commercial value lies in it. Transport and logistic, our business amplifies this dynamic. I would say we operate in the intersection of a physical movement and a digital flow. Let's say we have data events on every journey, on every trip, on every transactions we make. So every time we have any delay, every hands off, every accident, every deviation is captured, timestamped, linked to a real person, a real vehicle, and the real location. And in ride-hailing business, I do feel a lot about this. So we say in our business is we carry lives. It's real people on our platform. So this is not abstract. The stakes are very, very real. And here we see a framework. This is framework generally we use. So you see there are 6 domains: network security, personal information, blah, blah, blah. Those are real and what they matter. But I would say if we look at the bigger picture, those 6 domains I presented here, which we are using in our company, is more from, I would say, liability lens, from a liability perspective. That's we keep asking ourselves, what are the risks? What can go wrong? And how do we not get fined? Right? That's my boss asked me, how do we not get fined? And that is necessary, but not sufficient. And I would say that as a business leader, owner, especially for small and medium-sized companies, the data governance, we don't just see them as liability, we see them as assets to be leveraged, as equity. It is something that can accumulate value and create value over time. So governance data is not just a compliance function. I never say that to our data team, data security team is a compliance team. I would say they really, in fact, a strategic and strategy making or an operational team. So I will use an analogy that maybe later I will come back. So it's, imagine we are in a kindergarten, I would say we have a teacher with 30 children, kids in one room. If we do nothing, no structure, no rules, no governance, we know what happens. We have people crying, biting, chaos. But if we govern that room well. We assign seats, we set the routines, and we know, we give them attention. And then this is completely different. So we have learning, we have progress, we have creativity. So the data governance is the same thing. It's likely the same thing, I would say. So it's the same data governed well or governed poorly. It really makes difference. It's a strategy concerns. It affects our business. So we talk about this. I would give two dimensions of how my company working on the data. So the first is about data classification. I myself is a math person, and mathematicians always say that if we don't measure it, we cannot manage it. Classification is about making something manageable. So again, coming back to the kindergarten analogy, we will say there are three broad categories of data. Here we have five, but generally there are three broad categories. So we have public data, that's press releases, that's published policies, everything we can see on our websites. Those like the kids on the playground. They're in the open, anyone can see them. That's fine, right? And then we have confined data. It's internal operation, business data. Let's say our itinerary, our route, our customer order histories, our transactions. And those are the kids in the classroom. They not say the top secret, but they are in a managed environment. So their access is controlled. And we know who is in the room. And then there's the special data. That's the national security, critical data on these slides. So it means that those are really heavily protected. You need a specific protocol, specific protections, and specific people responsible for them. Those are the children who needs a dedicated care plan. So we need to categorize it. But this is not the only dimension, I would say. There's another dimension, I put it like life cycle or simply as temporal dimension, as time we put it in. So data is collected, stored, used until eventually destroyed. So this is this is a grand old philosophical question: who we are, where do we come from, and where do we go? It applies directly to data. If we put this, we overlay these two dimensions together, then it's very useful tool already here. You see the management matrix. For any given piece of data, you just check, locate it where we know, and who can access it and how it is stored and whether it can be downloaded or whether it should be deleted or how long you can keep it. So there's a set of protocols. That's basically how we make a data cybersecurity policy, a product, a protocol. So this is, you see here again, this is not just a compliance document. This is like a manual. It's a way that we are dealing with our data. And then we move to this interesting topic. The CLT specifically asked me to elaborate, and this personally I'm very interested in. In different countries, we do have very different regulations. I've been working in many places, and now I live here comfortably in Singapore, which I would say is a full front line for the cross-border data flows, at least in Asia, if not globally. I would say that there are, through all the regulations, I put them in three fundamental categories or three philosophical approaches. The first one is a right-based framework. Let's say GDPR, Europeans, they say data rights travels with a person. Let's say coming back to kindergarten analogy is if a child isn't allowed to have snacks after 9 p.m. at home. They don't get them. in anywhere else. That means the standard follows the person, not the location. So this is the one mainstream. Another one is a security-based framework. Let's say before data moves, we need to audit where it is going. So it's like you send your child somewhere, you need to know whether there's first aid trained teachers, whether there's an AED, whether there's a fire extinguisher. In Singapore, we will check whether it's trust certified, right? And the third category is the multilateral way. That's a trade-based frameworks. So think about APEC, ASEAN model. There's a lot of contracts, but there's less restriction. And say that we want our data to flow, but let's agree on the terms and then let them move. So there are a lot of contracts there. It's contract-based frameworks. The practical insight is these three categories of philosophical approaches, they are not mutually exclusive. See, so when our company handles things, we say we touch upon them all together: rights, security, and contract terms. So we use this when we have these three angles, we can walk into any country, anywhere in the world, and we know what's really being asked. And then let's move to the some takeaways. See, time is approaching, so we do have 6 takeaways here. I won't go through them one by one. I would say the most important takeaway I'd suggest is not on this slide, but it is the webinar itself. As colleagues previously said, we need to learn from each other. So I would say we need a platform to learn from each other, to exchange. It's not necessarily our closest colleagues, not necessarily our direct team, but generally it will be connections that actually opens doors that we didn't know existed. So the peers already handled cross-border data incidents, and the senior practitioner who navigated a regulatory review that we are about to encounter, and the speakers we had in the previous seminar. I would say that this is not advertising, but if you're not yet a member, I generally encourage you to join CLT, join the community, right? It's not sales pitch, but this is a place that we can learn, we challenge, we warm each other up, and we challenge each other, and we share what we didn't know. So I close all this by saying highlighting the more than a journey. This is actually what we say. Business is not from A to B, whether it's moving people or moving goods. A journey is a learning. It's a road that we learn. That we discover, we find new things, we create, and we find new ideas, and we find how to do things in a better way. So data governance is the same. So a conversation we keep having with our organizations, our regulators, our partners, and most importantly, ourselves. Okay, so this is my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Very interesting. Yeah. So now over to Scott. So Scott just joined us. So we will let Scott present his point of view. Scott, over to
Hello,
you. Thanks.
good morning. Sorry for being late. Just got in time. Hope everyone is still with us. I will share my own slide, right? Sukit?
Yes, you can share your slide, or you can ask Shirley to share also can. Yeah,
No, I'll
probably you
share.
share will
I'll
be better.
share.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me a moment. I'm given 10 minutes, but I prepared my slides not to take up full 10 minutes. So again, um, I hope that this will be more engaging. I prefer questions, so feel free to ask me any questions that you like me to answer anytime. And here we go. Mm, here. Okay, hope you can see my screen. I am not able to see the Q&A section, but feel free to just jump in and ask me question anytime. So
Okay.
in case
Are
you're
you
wondering what yeah, go on.
are you sharing your screen for presentation?
Ah,
The
wrong
different
screen.
wrong screen.
Yeah, man. Eh, here we go.
Okay, let me see where the right screen. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that everyone is seeing my screen, I'm showing the deck on 4 practical ways to build cyber resilience. If that is correct. So just a quick introduction. I missed the intro from Silkit. I'm Scott Lee. I am sharing with various. I was invited because I was previously the CISO for CELTS Limited before they acquired the big company. So I was just looking for the I was looking after Singapore and the Asia region. I've since left the company. I'm now with Hong Kong Finance. So that is me, and I have been with the cybersecurity, doing cybersecurity for about 10 over years. So I've been through quite a lot of stuff, including real cyber attacks. So what I will be sharing today, it's what I've learned, what I've seen, how people react in a cyber crisis, cyber attack, not really a crisis, not necessarily a crisis, but more importantly, just some uh, suggestions I will share with you today on how can we be resilient uh, in times of whether it's a cyber attack or digital disruption. Cannot start off without explaining what is cyber resilience, right? So I must lay the ground and explain. The formal definition that I can find on the internet and as well as from researchers is that cyber resilience is our ability, a company's ability, business ability to continue with the business even when there is a cyber attack or when a cyber disruption, and it could mean anything. Cyber attack is really literally, I mean, we all understand what a cyber attack, but IT disruption can mean anything that includes, if you're a couple, some years ago, we have the CrowdStrike event where that disrupted everybody's, if you're using CrowdStrike, everybody's endpoint, everybody's server got a blue screen. And blue screen can also be an IT disruption including server failure, hardware failures, or even just internet failure. When some nowadays a lot of companies cannot function without internet, so we just take the half day off and then we go for coffee or drinks. But jokes aside, but this is what we usually talk about, and it cyber building cyber resilience goes beyond just putting in security tools, investment, but it includes various things like how are we preparing ourselves during peacetime so that when something happens in crisis mode, we can function as usual. How are we responding and how are we recovering as fast as we can? All in all is to make sure that we will minimize the impact to our business. That's very important. For some of us, the moment our online system or on our or if certain IT function fails, there goes our service. We will not be able to provide a service to our customer, and that will impact our financial, that will impact our reputation, and our customer may not come back to us because they don't trust us anymore. So I this whole topic I'm going to share is about cyber resilience and how we and some suggestions on how we can approach it. It may not be perfect, but we are not looking at how to be perfect, but we're looking at how to start and how to continue building it. The cliche, but very important, it is not a matter of if, but when. There's also another side joke. There's two types of company. One company is uh, you have not been attacked or you've not been hacked. The other company, the other group of companies, you probably have been hacked, but you have no idea you have been hacked because nobody shared with you anything. So that is a joke, and I'll explain to you we can talk more about that, but I will explain to you why is this important as well. Now, I'm putting this question here, but keep this in mind, and then let us re-explore this at the end of my sharing. Now, the question is, can your business still operate and serve your customers in whatever way during a cyber attack or an IT disruption? Can your business still operate and serve your customers in time of such incident or disruption? Now, keep this aside, and then we will re-explore this, and then we can have a little bit more discussion at the end. Oops. Now, some statistics, very, very simple one. I'm not a researcher, but I gather that this is still important. So why is cyber resilience, or why is this so, why does this matter to us? Firstly, SMBs are prime targets. Why are small, medium businesses prime targets? Mostly because we are often easier to attack. We are very often, not saying all of us, but most of SMBs have not so good security controls or protection for various reasons. Could be not enough investment, not enough help. But whatever it is, this is it has been reported that on a global scale, 71% attacks are targeting small and medium businesses, and that is a lot. And usually they use this. You may not be the attack. You may not be the final target. They could potentially use your business, holding some personal data, holding some sensitive information. Then they use this data to target a bigger company for more lucrative return on investment. So that is the most reason why. And according to last year's report by CSA and SPF, Singapore Police Force, less than 40% of Singaporean SMBs feel that we are well informed or aware of cyber risks. And that means a lot. How can we then help us to feel more assured, more confident in dealing with cyber risks? And how can we then better prepare ourselves, prepare our business? And then why I want to share all this is, for some of us, a cyber attack or IT disruption can become an existential crisis. I'm using this strong word because it can mean that after this attack, the business can just fold for many very reasons. We may have to we may lose a lot of money because of contract failure. We may not be able to recover in time, and then a lot of customers end up going over to our competitors. And also the recovery can cost us so much that we end up being much more heavily in debt. Various reasons, but just bear in mind, I hope that this is not for all of us, but really the fact is, for some of us, one attack can become an existential crisis. Sukit, I cannot see the Q&A, so if there's any question, please feel free to let me know.
Oh, currently nothing yet. Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. Because I saw some pop up. Thanks. Now, I'll jump quickly into the 4 practical ways that I will humbly share, and I will spend a lot of time here for the rest of my few minutes. So again, feel free to ask anything. So it can be that it's not necessary in sequence. You can do anything any point in time, but most importantly is start soon. First one, secure the basics. And when I talk about basics, it means various things. Do you have your at bare minimum, do you have antivirus in place in all your PCs and all your servers, if you have servers at all? If you don't have servers, if you're using software as a services, most of the time, antivirus security control should be included. If not, you better check with read the terms and conditions before you subscribe to an online service. But for those businesses that you maintain your own routers, switches, firewalls, PCs, laptops. Please, um, and I mean this with seriousness, patch and update your assets as regular as possible. A lot of time, a cyber attack happen because of security vulnerabilities that have a patch. Microsoft perhaps released a patch, but because of our busy schedule, we missed that month or we missed 2 months, and things can happen within that 2 months. Um, I'm sharing with you this observation because this is real. I've been through cyber attacks that are just so unlucky. This team of IT guys, they every month they diligently patch their servers, their firewalls on a monthly basis and very on time. Just so happened that 1 month they were very busy, they missed that month. And that next month, before they managed to patch that month, before they managed to patch, they got compromised by a ransom group, and then they were asked for about 80,000 USD. So it is real, and it can happen to any one of us. The next one is, do you know what are your attack vectors? What do I mean by attack vectors? So hackers, hackers, they are not they don't want to spend a lot. They are very focused in return on investment. Their time invested in attacking people, they want to know how much can I get out of my time spent. So most of the time, their first job, the first thing they do is do a scan on the internet, and there are a lot of tools out there. You can also look out some of those tools yourself. Which company has the most exposed URLs, firewalls, IP addresses? When I say exposed, it means that anyone on the internet can easily search for it and can scan for it. The more attack vectors you have, obviously, the higher chance of you being attacked, because you are just laying them out for everyone to look at it. So more importantly is, of course, some of them are necessary, like for example, your corporate website, maybe your email address, maybe your certain servers that you need people to access, like your VPN, online VPN. That is fine. What matters is we need to know what are our attack vectors, what are these links, so that we will constantly keep track. If things were to happen, at least we know which one to close, how did they get in, and then how can we kick them out. So these are what I meant by basics, and we should. I would strongly recommend that we do spend time to find out what they are and have some patch cadence that are regularly implemented. Number two, humbly suggest you to get a cyber insurance, just like our health life insurance. It is a peace of mind, but more importantly, and it depends on how much you want to get, how much coverage you just like how you approach your life insurance. The more you get, maybe the better peace you have, but it differs, right? I don't suggest that you cover every single thing. Like if your company is worth $1 million, maybe you don't need to. I don't suggest that you cover $1 million. Find out first, you need to understand how much you need. What are your expenditures in a short term? For example, you need to work out this scenario in case of a system failure, in case of a cyber attack, for a period of a week or maybe 2 weeks. How that duration is dependent on how long you can sustain without that specific system. And that means that how long you can sustain doing manual. Manual is always a good way as a form of resilience. If system is down, we can use our phone, we can use WhatsApp, we can use anything else that we can do to continue our business. And that is great. But that is a plan, and that has to be known. Find out how long you can sustain in that method. It could be 1 week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 1 month, or even 2 months. But you shouldn't buy an insurance that cover every single thing, because that means higher premium as well. So be realistic and how much you can afford and how much you should cover. Now, what is the benefit of a cyber insurance? Um, I'm disclaiming here. Hong Leong Finance don't sell cyber insurance. We are a finance company, so I don't earn anything. But I'm sharing with you through based on my experience and what you can get out of it. Cyber insurance covers you in times of a cyber attack, but more importantly, it helps you to cover a few things. Like one, if there is a loss of business, how much can you claim? Again, is depending on your coverage. But if you estimate you will lose business, you need certain amount to operate your business in times of crisis. For example, you have to spend uh, to pay your employees. You have to spend to bring in consultants to help you do recovery. All this can be covered by the cyber insurance. Number two, it also allows you, some insurance, again, depending on your premium, allow you to get security expertise from them in times of cyber attack. When you talk about digital forensics, when you talk about incident response, we don't need to own all these competencies ourselves. And we probably don't have enough money, enough capacity to sustain this team. You can get help from the cyber insurer, and most of the time, they have a good panel of strong security expertise that you can seek help. So do have a chat with some of the cyber insurance out there. If you are worried, go reach out to a broker. But there are actually a lot of various insurers out there that you can check with them. The third one, run cyber drills regularly. And I want to compare this with our fire drills. It is something that we do at least on a yearly basis. For the fire warden, you will be a fire safety warden. Every company would have one appointed as part of the company's building's requirement. Whether people appreciate it or not, we have to do it at least once a year. Similarly, treat a cyber attack like how you would treat a fire when there's a fire. Go through the basics on how and what to do, who to do what, how to continue running the business if there's a cyber attack or when there's an IT disruption. And more importantly, when do you do what? In times of crisis, in times of attack, everyone will be frustrated. Everyone will be annoyed. There might be chaos. People might flare up, temper. People might shout across one another. All these drills will help us to be a little bit more assured and put in some controls in times of crisis. Who will be the commander in times of a fire, in times of a cyber attack, to determine what needs to be done, who needs to do what, and everybody will just listen. If these are not, at least the commander could be the CEO, could be the founder, could even be the one that's most experienced. Why is this important? If no one take the lead, everyone will do so. And we all know too many red Indian chief, right? There will be chaos, and then too many chefs will spoil the soup, whatever you call it. But it's important to pay attention to that, so that there will be the chaos can be under control. And when everything is under control, you tend to work out problems and priorities much faster and much easier. Last but not least, this is just 4 practical ways I'm recommending. There may be more, but the last one that I do want to recommend is join a community. It can be any community, but more importantly, it has to be a trusted community where people are willing to share their experiences. They may not, no company, granted, no company out there is willing to openly tell you, oh, I've been through this attack and I'll share with you what happened during the attack, because it can be sensitive, right? Can be reputational also. But what matters is we want to learn from one another. If this company has tried a cyber insurance or have deployed a certain security controls, learn from them. What went wrong? What was good? How much was it? And what's the return on investment? Don't Please do not do the hard way and do everything by your own. It is still possible, but it will take longer time. You might end up spending more money um, than learning from others, getting feedback from others. But most importantly, joining a community, learning from others will allow you to fast track your initiatives and will be able to make things go faster because whatever people fail, you get to listen from them, you get to learn from them, and then you start by not doing what has failed. Start with something that it could be proven or it could be something new so that you don't fall back to whatever was not doing well again. So, and we all know in this space, time is of essence. Everyone wants to do things faster, better, and most importantly, cheaper if possible. But then again, choose two out of three. But joining a community definitely will help you to offload some stress also. You get to learn, you get to talk to one another, you get to complain about the same thing. In cybersecurity, everybody complain about the same thing day in, day out. But at least you know you are not alone. Everyone also experience the same thing some time or later. Now, I've shared with you these 4 practical ways. What's next is really what I want to say is it's never too late to start today. And it's okay to start tiny step and small. I want to conclude with these 4 points. No business is too small to be attacked. Hackers are opportunistic. They don't, of course, they want to attack the biggest one because got more money, right? But matter of fact is, they will just throw the net. Whoever get caught in the net, they will do what they can to milk out as much as they can earn. So really, no business is too small to be attacked. Don't ever think that nobody knows you, nobody care about you, therefore you all will be safe. That is no longer true anymore. They could, if they realize that, if it's a ransom attack, if they realize that you cannot afford them 50K, they might even ask you for 10K. What matters is they get some money at the end of the day. My second point, having security tools doesn't mean you are safe. Just having antivirus is good, but it doesn't guarantee you 100% that you will not be breached. But then again, we should also be aware that even the hyperscalers, companies like Microsoft, Google, they can be breached. So even if you have all the shiny, glamorous tools out there, you can still be breached because there are hackers that are doing this as a full-time job. They come in the morning, all they do is look for victims, and then they do what they need to do to get their money out of them. And then at the end of the day, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., they will shut down, they will go home, spend time like normal, every one of us, and next day, they do this as a business again. So no one is safe, but we shouldn't be too gloom and too negative. We just have to make sure that we bear in mind, yes, we will be breached eventually, but what matters is can my business still continue? How fast can I recover? I think that is the key of cyber resilience. And if you have an IT vendor, even if you trust them, please never rely on them 100%. There's we as much as we want to rely on them because we pay money for them, right? But they also have their own challenges, their own issues, and if things happen, we are accountable and responsible for our own business, not the IT vendor. They will just tell you, "I'm sorry, we missed this," or "We do our best, and based on our the amount you pay me, we can only do this." we need to still be aware of our attack vectors. We still need to know what do we have in our environment. So we ourselves are accountable and responsible for our own business. And if we want to start today, maybe at the end of this session, if you can just go back and ask your team, hey, we have this system, we have this server, we have this router, we have this switch. Do we have backups? How are we backing them up? Because if the switch or if the router fail, or even if the firewall fail, at least you can recover it quickly by restoring the backup. So that is the most important. And it's okay to be backup, or even your laptop. Do you have a backup of all your documents, all your statements, receipts somewhere, whether it's on thumb drive, or on a hard disk, or on cloud email? That is fine, as long as you know that you are assured, you are clear, you have backups. This is just like a very first step. So please go and check. Last but not least, I want to just close this off by revisiting this question, which I mentioned about in the beginning. Can your business still operate and serve your customers if you suffer from a cyber attack? A very important question for all of us to think about. How can we continue to do what we need to do to continue to be profitable, or at least not get into a loss that will cause us to fold our business? I'm going to stop here, and this is my last slide actually. Happy to open for any questions, or Sukit, you can moderate as you please.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Scott and Ma. Very excellent sharing. I think these are very practical points for all of us, irrespective of which industry you're in. We actually ran out of time for Q&A, but let me sum up the points raised by the two esteemed panelists. First of all, this is not just a head of IT or head of cyber's responsibility. At the end of the day, it's actually board level and senior management, and make sure that your cyber security, your threats, your data protection are actually part of the enterprise risk management framework, because it's very important to have your cyber security data protection as one of the risks. From there, then you can actually identify mitigating factors. The other one that has been shared by both speakers is talking about learning from one another. I think joining a platform, joining a trusted community is actually very important, and I learn from that as well, because I do participate actively in the community, and then that's where I also basically met up with Scott. I think each of them have a lot of experience. Some of them even have been attacked before, right? I myself have encountered issues when my data centers came down, not because of cyber attack, but it's similar, and how we actually kicking our business continuity plan. I think this question about can your business continue to operate despite having systems down and all that stuff is a very important question, and the answer basically rests in the fact that you must have a business continuity plan in place. And having that in place is you cannot just have a drawer plan and put it in a drawer, but you must exercise it every year, right? I think that's very important. And that's been shared by the panelists as well. Um, I think the last one is that cyber insurance, right? I think everyone knows that insurance is very important to protect against protect oneself whenever there are basically high costs to be incurred, like for example, hospitalized and all that stuff. Same thing, right? I think it's good to have some cyber insurance. And I've gone through cyber insurance renewal process, and the process is not exactly that easy. You have to answer a lot of questions, right? So, but cyber insurance is required, but don't overinvest, right? In all matters, you have to balance between investment and having too much protection also, right? But I think the last part, which is very important, is that there must be leadership and accountability, to have that BCP in place. It could be a business owner, it could be an IT owner, but the enterprise need to appoint a leader for that. So I think we have come to the end of the discussion. I think I thank you very much, Scott and Ma, for very good points raised, right? So those who have questions, please continue to drop into CILT. We'll answer those questions offline, and CILT will publish all the answers to the questions in the ebook later on, right? And lastly, we have a final series coming up. Watch out for it in June. We hope to get some more experts to share their experience. It is a matter of sharing because each of us will have our own experience and so on, right? So that's all, and thank you very much to Ma, to Scott for your contribution, and we'll see you in the next round, right? Yeah, for the speakers, can you please stay?